Okay, welcome Year 11. This is Mr. Doyle's first attempt at a sort of video cast to help you with a GP examination. Obviously we haven't had a chance to speak about this, but rest assured this little screencast will help you in your revision for your mock examinations. The good thing about GP is that, I'm not doing this very well, is that first of all the examination you can't really revise much for it, so what I recommend is obviously watching this screencast and doing the one exam paper at the end of this screencast, and that should prepare you sufficiently for your mock examinations. So first of all, let's go over here. The mock examination paper that I recommend you doing can be found on Edmodo. If you go to the folder section in Edmodo, you will be able to find a folder called GP Documents, and within GP Documents you'll see three files. One will be the actual exam. Another one will be the insert, which is very, very important, and that is what you'll be working for from the exam. And the second one, or sorry, the third one, my maths is not very good, the third one is the answer sheet, so you can actually check your answers. Like I said, one exam paper should be sufficient, so 2 to 3 hours revision should prepare you pretty well for global perspectives. Okay, this is the best way to answer the questions, and a lot of the information I'm giving you now is from the examiner's report from last year's exam. So you've got 4 questions. The first question is where you're basically looking at a source, and that'll be the insert booklet that you get with the exam. My only piece of advice, question 1 is very, very easy. My piece of advice is this: do not include anything that is not in the source material. So for example, here, where it says give 3 ways in which the internet might have a negative effect on our thinking, don't try and be nice and clever and think about all the things that you may have come across in your life or your friends' lives or anything. Use what is in the evidence in the insert that's provided in the examination. So, do not use any information that is not provided. That is my advice for question 1. The rest of it is just using the evidence and obviously irrelevant to the question that's being asked. Question 2 is a little bit more in depth. This asks you to analyse and interpret information, and also suggests a line of inquiry to test ideas. So in this question, for example, it might ask you, it says computer games for young people not thinking about important issues anymore. How would you find out whether this is true? So you'd have to devise some sort of test. So with this question, you have to use creativity to design a test or some sort of way to test a hypothesis. You must use reasoning and make sure it's linked to evidence, and say what you think and why. So question 2 is about you trying to sort of use your creativity to test the line of thinking. Question 3 and 4 are the final 2 questions, and that's where most of the marks are actually found. Question 3 asks you to evaluate arguments and reasoning, and analyse and interpret information and evidence. So what it means by reasoning is, if it says something like Brian believes that all Rottweilers are vicious and attack people, and the reason he believes this is because he was bit by a Rottweiler, you might agree with the fact that Rottweilers are very vicious, but his reasoning for believing that is not really true, into the fact that he was bit by a Rottweiler once, but that doesn't mean that all Rottweilers in the world are going to bite people. So you might agree with this hypothesis or his feelings, but his reasoning for believing that is a little bit false and not backed up with evidence. So that's what you must do. So make sure you evaluate people's reasonings explicitly. Don't just agree or disagree with them. Use concepts like bias, authority, and evidence to agree or disagree what they're saying. And you obviously must understand both sides to give strengths and weaknesses when you're evaluating evidence. And finally, question 4 is the most important question because it's worth 18 marks. In this question, you're basically answering a question based on sources, but you're looking more for your own opinion. Always go back to the question here. So it asks you for information here. Always go back to the question. So sometimes in past exams people persuade a little. Give reasons. So give reasons Make sure you answer the question that's set. Evaluate, and you must make sure your evaluation is balanced. Do not just say the internet is brilliant, blah 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 blah, if your question is about the internet. But obviously it won't be, because this would be a bad test. You must show that you have empathy toward other people's feelings, and say that you've considered them and maybe rejected them on different points. Avoid simple opinions and ask citations. And as before, evaluate people's reasonings explicitly. Don't just agree or disagree. But that's the most important. Evaluate strengths and weaknesses and give a balanced opinion for both sides. Show that you've considered both sides or perspectives of an argument. Okay, this sheet should help you, so you can freeze your video and look at this sheet. Maybe do if you're watching this on an iPad or an iPhone, you can take a photo of this, and this breaks down what you're looking for in question 1, question 2, question 3 and question 4. Okay, so I hope this has helped you. Remember, I would spend about 2 to 3 hours revising for this exam. You watch this video, then attempt the exam paper that's been supplied. Use the insert, obviously, because that's part of the actual exam, and then go through the answer sheet so you can see how an examiner will be marking your paper. I'm obviously available, both myself, Mr. Nabarro and Ms. Ramirez are available at any point if you want to speak to us. But good luck, you'll be fantastic if you revise. Just 2 to 3 hours for this exam. So that's why GP is the best, because not much revision and it's really fun. Okay, bye-bye.